Okay, everybody, let's make a start. I don't know if you're watching this on the recording, what it's like, but it's very warm here. And just remember, even if you don't feel that warm, do please remember to take a few sips of water every now and then, just to make sure that you're not actually dehydrating. Take it nice and easily. We'll start with the little tapping exercise as we often do. So just standing comfortably and rubbing your hands together. It's quite light. I mean, we don't want to raise body temperature, but we do want to encourage a sense of movement of circulation. So just lightly over your face, tapping over the cheeks, try and loosen your jaw a little. And then over the top of your head and neck. Down to one shoulder, your arm, just feeling the muscles vibrating a little. And then on the other side. Around light on your back with one hand or with both hands. And around the hips. Your legs. Nope. Nice and light on your belly. Not onto your front arm. I'm going to start today with going through a few joint loosening exercises. In the hotter weather, our joints do tend to swell up. So this is just to, again, get a sense of movement, to start to disperse that kind of stagnant heat that can build up. Starting with your shoulders, just put your hands in front of your shoulders here, lightly touching your shoulders, and circle your elbows. Try and get a sense that you're moving nice and smoothly and not too far. This is not stretching. Just I always start off with quite small circles and maybe gradually increasing the range of movement, maybe not, depending on how joints are feeling. Feel how this also works in your chest, in your upper back. And then going forwards. Now hold your hands out and just winding your arms around as though you're winding up a string or thread of some kind. Try and get the movement all the way through your arms to your shoulders. And then back the other way. Hands slightly out to your sides. And I'll come a bit closer so that people can see. Just winding your arms around, just turning. Just a small rotation. Elbows are slightly bent, as you can see. Loosen your fingers after that. And then leaving your knees just a little bit loose, hands on your hips and gently circling around. Almost like you're sort of trying to swing a hoop around, but again, not too big a movement, especially not to start off. We get a sense for how much movement might be there for you without you having to strain. Back the other way. Put one foot in front, just on the ball of the foot, and circling your knee around, feeling the movement up into your hip and down your ankle and the sole of your butt. And then back the other way. And the other forwards. And back the other way. And just keep it. Just standing comfortably and very gently lift your shoulders up and then let them drop down. This is not meant to be a strong exercise to lift your shoulders up. What we're trying to do is just focus on that feeling as the shoulders drop, maybe feeling the shoulder blades slide up and down your back. And that feeling in particularly the muscles to begin with of releasing, letting go. So when we use terms like release, let go, soften, relax, this is the sensation that we're actually looking for in Tai Chi. So that's one thing to note from this exercise. The other thing to note is as your shoulders drop, then eventually they stop. They don't just, your arms don't fall off. It's like the shoulders are sort of dropping down into your rib cage. So we just get a sense that, yeah, there's something there that is going to continue to support me. So having done that with the top part of your body, just aware of this sort of central part of your body, hips, pelvis, and the same idea, just put your hips in gently, put your belly in, and then releasing it. Doing that a few times, and again, there's this feeling of just dropping inwards and downwards until that downward movement stops. The other thing I notice when I do this in the center of my body, it actually affects the whole body. It affects my back and my shoulders again, but in particular, you can see my knees. When I tighten up, you can see how my knees pull back, and then when I release, they just soften, they just naturally curve slightly. So this feeling of releasing is, I think, rooting down. We want to get away from the idea that when we root down, we have to bend the knees a lot. We do bend the knees more, obviously, in some of the exercises, but that comes after the releasing, and that's important to remember. Do that one more time, coming into that more grounded, more rooted posture, and then just gently turning in the center of the body, trying to keep that feeling of a release in the center of your body, moving slow, well, not slowly, it's a faster exercise, but very gently, and again, not too far. If I move too far, I tighten up, and when I tighten up, my knees stiffen up, and so on and so forth. There's a general principle in Tai Chi that we go to 80% of the full movement. In other words, at the end of the movement, you should be able to feel that you could have moved a little bit further. And that range will gradually extend, but still allow space for movement, whether it be the movement of your joints and as your arms swing around, or whether we're thinking about, you know, the internal circulation of blood and breathing and so on and so forth, or the flow of energy. It all needs space for movement. Just let your breathing settle into a comfortable pattern, a comfortable rhythm. I'm doing these exercises like this. It's a slightly different start to the session because when it's hot like this, one of the things that we want to realize about Tai Chi is that the postures that we take encourage this feeling of releasing, and that helps heat to disperse. So we're actually encouraging our body's very natural ways of dispersing and releasing heat from the cell. And then 1 foot forwards, keeping the width of your step. Very gently using the ground to move from. So the term warm up is a bit misleading, I think. I think preparation would be a better understanding of the term. Preparing physically, of course, but also using these movements as an encouragement to bring our attention into our body. Sometimes easier to do that with slightly less complex, slightly faster exercises to begin with. And then on the other side, and shake out. Good exercises to do in the mornings that when it's hot, because it's always a bit cooler in the mornings. So now, standing with your feet hip width apart, trying to find a line with the pull of gravity so that you're not straining against gravity. It's no good trying to release if the tension that you're holding is actually what's stopping you from falling over. But to give you an idea, if I use this as an example of the center line of my body, I'm trying to line myself up. And you think about this, then take a pole like that. In theory, I can find a position where I can just let go and that wouldn't happen. Obviously, it's a lot more difficult in practice. But then if I also were to say get some guy ropes that you use to hold up a tent and use those as well, then that would make it more stable. So think of the center line of your body, think of your skeleton as being like the frame of a tent, and muscles, tendons, ligaments, fascia, and so on as being like the skin and the guy ropes of the tent, and they all support each other in sense. And that means that the effort of standing, the effort of moving is more distributed through your body. So feet are hip width apart, directly supporting your hips and your shoulders. Look for that feeling of releasing and just feeling the pull of gravity working through your body. Allow your hips to drop back a little bit more. And then before it becomes a strain on your legs, push it. So with gravity, pulls us down, and the springiness in our legs pushes us up. We get this sense of the body expanding gently and contracting, and just feeling that movement going up through your back to your upper body very gently, almost like a balloon inflating and deflating. And then bringing your hands around as though you're cradling the ball and just letting the expansion push your elbows out. Notice that draws your hands up. Turn your hands over as though they're now resting on the ball. Releasing in your hips, dropping down your arms front. So this is the exercise, rooting down, remembering that it starts with the release. So on the top position, I try and release, so have the intention to release now that I know what it feels like around the center of the body, and I feel myself being drawn. So that releasing feeling, and this is the Chinese term sung, releasing, letting go, softening, calming, whole range of meanings of that sort. Essential to Tai Chi. People with a bit more experience, rather than just looking to release on the contracting, what we call the yin movements. Notice whether, as you go to push up, you go back to straining, maybe in your legs or your back, maybe in your shoulders, and try and bring the intention to release to those areas as well, so that rather than thinking of releasing of some as a noun, as it were, something that happens here and here and here, becomes more of a verb, more of the overall flavour of the verb. The image of moving through water can be helpful here, because the way that we tend to move in water is very akin to the way that we want to move in Tai Chi. In addition, the sense of resistance that the water gives us, something we have to move against, but that we know that we don't want to stiffen, to strain against, means that at the same time we're also developing this sense of inner strength, inner resilience. We're expanding, contracting, aware of areas that are still a bit stiff or a bit blocked. And once again, just having the intention to release in those areas, maybe not with this exercise, maybe with one of the future exercises, but just there in the back. And then at this point, turning your hands out so fingers point away from the body, pushing up, feeling your arms, the expansion in your body, pushing your arms away from your body rather than thinking of lifting. This is the exercise, the wild goose. And it may be that the image of the bird in flight also offers a certain quality. Use various images, of course, in Tai Chi. They're not all going to be meaningful to you, but the ones that are really useful. One more time. And then letting your hands drop down, cross in front of your belly. As you push up, your elbows get pushed out again, drawing your fingers around in a smooth circle. This is parting the clouds. A gentle expansion through your body. Try not to think of straining to lift your arms. And staying in front of your body, particularly when you lift up. It can be a habit of pulling backwards here, but keep your hands in front of you, almost as though you're just sort of painting a circle on the wall in front of you. The fingers have been like the paint. So these three movements are all the same in legs and hips. But now this time coming back, curl your hands under, going back to the first one and do the little sequence of three. Sinking down, don't rush, change over. And then dropping your hands down. Just noticing the change and the subtle changes, differences between one movement and another. Letting your attention come into your body to notice these very subtle changing patterns within your body. Be all sorts of things that you notice, but just as an example, this may not work for you, but see how it lands with you. With the first one, just let your attention rest in your belly and your lower back, feeling the expansion and the contraction there. And then turn your fingers out and feel the expansion in your belly, then up towards your solar plexus. And then belly, solar plexus, and up into your chest. So a progressive expansion up through your body. Really, this is how we want all movements to develop in Tai Chi, essentially from the ground, working upwards, expanding upwards and outwards through the body. So a useful exercise to just think about that a little bit. Do this one more time. And then change into dragon plucks the stars from the sky. Let your hands drop down, feel the weight of your arms hanging from your shoulders. Push up, and again, starting with your elbow, draw your fingers up. At the top of the movement, wind around, sinking down, elbow being pulled down. Move your attention across to the other side, and again, building up through your body. Try not to rush changeover. And if you find that difficult, we often find ourselves getting to the end of one movement and wanting to start the next one. And a third point of focus, let your hand drop down, open your fingers, let your attention come to your belly, then to the other side, and then expand upwards and down. Dragon plucks the stars from the sky. So it can be difficult not to want to rush ahead, and we're just training ourselves to redirect our thoughts into, in many ways, very specific parts of the body, just to provide a sort of break. One more time. Your hands drop down, feel the weight of your arms hanging from your shoulders. Just rest. Take a few sips of water. So, a couple of points there. The movement will build from the ground. And going back to what I was saying about how the structure of the body has these different elements that mutually support each other. So that's true not just for the supporting, but also for the production of the movement. So in theory, no one part of the body should feel overworked. Clearly, your legs are going to be working harder than some other parts of your body. So there is still a hierarchy, but it's not a total hierarchy. It's not this part of the body or this part of the body. We get this sense of the whole body in movement, and that leads us into this sense of the energy within. I also talked about this idea of bringing your attention to specific parts of the body. Tai Chi is always a mind-body process, and our thoughts can race ahead. And we all have those times when we're getting flustered and thoughts seem to be piling up on each other. And we learn to direct our thoughts into the center of our body, from there into the ground, providing what I described as a break. And that actually exists in all of the movements. There is this quality we refer to as the stillness within the movement. And I think of those moments as being like a punctuation mark, like a comma in a sentence. It's not that nothing's happening, it's just that things just settle a little bit, a very yin aspect of the art. The next couple of movements really emphasizing that the center of the body is the location, is where the punctuation mark goes in. So Standing in this top position, just trying to keep that feeling of release in your hips. Bring your hands to your side of your body and try and just touch the outside of your hips. Be with the side of your hand or your arm, it doesn't really matter, but just sort of actually connecting with that location. And then bringing your hands around, pushing up gently, extending through your back. Again, hands in front of your body, coming back down and taking that moment to just once again physically touch the side of the hips. And then pushing out and back. And again, we can often find ourselves getting to about here and wanting to start again. Take that, it's less than a second, it's a tiny amount of time just to introduce that sense of settling. It's that center part of the body that we want to feel is dropping towards the ground through that process of releasing. So we're also aware of the ground, and just be aware that in doing this with the physical movement and the intention, trains not only muscle and tendon and ligament, but trains the nervous system. We're establishing a usable route to find that location or point of stillness. This time, as you push out, you turn in the center of your body. So we also begin to realize how that central part of the body guides the movement. When we turn in one direction, our left hand, our right hand go in a certain way, and when we don't turn, they go in a different way. So beginning to appreciate the significance of that central part of the body. This is simply called pushing in 4 directions. It's straightforward exercise, but worth practicing for the reasons I've been talking about. One more round. Those of you who have learned a Tai Chi form will be familiar with the almost sense of rushing that can set in if you're uncertain about the movements. This returning your attention to your center and the ground is one of your biggest allies. Now letting your hands drop, again almost touching your sides, and with the next expansion, let that push one arm out so it swings up to above your head, in line with your nose, and straight down the center line of your body. I'll stand back with my hands to support. And then again, so expanding out from the center, just on one side, or at least moving just on one side. And then if it's comfortable, the next time your hand reaches that top position, you can add a little turn. It's going to be a surprisingly strong exercise for shoulders, sides, and hips. So nice and easy. Once again, recognizing the significance of the movement in that central part of your body. And then changing sides. So your intention now is for the movement to take place on the opposite side. There's a constant downward movement that we're yielding to through that releasing, called gravity. And there's a constant upward response from the body, from the ground. We have the intention to move with those patterns. We essentially make a choice about which particular pattern we're moving at any particular time. And in return, we're not imposing a movement, we're taking the movement that's already there, working with that. And then to stand. Once again, shake out. So again, going back to a point that I made there, we see lots of things these days in the healthcare world about taking a break. And sometimes you'll see things about spending some time sitting under a tree or something like that. These are really good things to be able to do. We sometimes hear people talk about their happy place, the place they like to go to. If there's a regular place, maybe near where you work or near where you live that you like to go, a park with a particular tree or a seat by the river or something like that. If you go there every day, then you know the way. If you don't go there, if you've never been there, then you might have to sort of take a bit longer to get there. But if you've got 10 minutes, say, you might think, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll go and sit by that tree or whatever. And you don't have to think about it too much because you've been there. You know the way. In the same way, we get to know the way to the location that we can find this sense of inner stillness. Just for a moment. There's a growing body of evidence that suggests that these little breaks through the day are really useful to us. And we are training the nervous system to do that. We create a neural pathway, or we hardwire a neural pathway that says that in the end, just the act of bringing your attention to your belly is enough sometimes to release the strain, the stress of the situation. So it's hugely significant in the center part of the body, and from there down into the ground. Now, for the next couple of exercises, go very carefully with these. I'll try and do them quite big so you can see what I'm doing, but you don't have to do that. Start with just an awareness of your hips and your pelvis, and push your hips back. And then just let gravity pull them down. So what's happening now is your pelvis is tilting forwards, and then gravity is bringing it back and allowing it to lower. As you do this, your shoulders and your head are affected. Effectively, what we're doing is by allowing gravity pull our hips downwards, remembering that releasing feeling, we're also allowing gravity to help us come to this upright position. So rather than pulling ourselves up by the neck, straining against gravity, we come up with a nice open quality. This is unusual because our habit is to often strain in the upper part of the body. But as we get used to what's going on in the center, then it becomes more accessible to us. It's still a strong exercise on the back with a gentle extension. So again, don't go too far. This time, as you push your hips back, sink down just a little bit more. And then let the hips drop back so your shoulders come upright and the 3 stages. Again, remember, I'm doing this quite big. You don't have to do anything like this big. Listen to your back, listen to your back. to the upright stance of the position. Your head is going forwards, but your hips are going back. So there's a gentle lengthening through your back and the spine. And then just settling into this rooted position before you start the whole process. If you use this movement in 2 exercises, first one is called rowing a boat in the middle of the lake. As you push up, your arms are coming up, hips go back, feeling that extension through your back and the spine, and then through your arms. Your arms drop down. Settle in for a moment. Rowing a boat. Do one more of these. And then we combine this with the horizontal movement in the center of the body. Let your hands come to rest in front of your belly. Turn. Now push your hips back. Let that push your hands forwards. Turn the opposite way. Let your hips drop down. Turn back to the front. This is called polishing the table. Turn. Feel that extension through your back and out through your arms. Swing around. Drawing your fingers around in the circle. In the back, so you can see what my hips are doing here. Again, this is exaggerated. Push out. Turn. Hips drop down. Turn back. Turn. Polishing the table. Maybe still applying that image of moving through water. Maybe just imagining that you were sliding your hands across the table. Whatever images are most helpful to you. Notice again, there's this moment just settling in, just here, and then moving up again. Try one more on each side. And once again. So those 2 exercises shows that the vertical alignment in the center of the body is something that helps us to be upright without straining. Remember, this is the opposite of what we're often told, you know, put yourself up, chest out, shoulders back. So it takes practice to be able to get to be familiar with that. You those are good exercises to practice with, but again, I would emphasize they are strong exercises. You could just do this. You don't have to do a big movement because it's the movement in the center of the body that actually is the key to this. So you can even practice them in the chair to really enable you to focus on the center of the body. So this is another factor that helps us to maintain an upright stance without the struggle, without the fight with the pull of gravity. Now, changing the stance from the hip width stance, turn one foot out and step forward. Imagine parallel lines going through your feet. You can see the background between your feet. We maintain hip width and we have about the same length. As you get more used to this and you release more in your hips, you may find you can be slightly longer, but not too short. Never this. This doesn't give you enough room to be able to move. There should be clear space between your front heel and your rear toes. So if I was standing with my feet in line, you see there's a gap there. Releasing in the hips and just transferring your weight forward. Key movement in Tai Chi itself. That's more significantly for our lives. You know, weight transfer is a key part of walking. Every time you move across a room, you're transferring your weight. So giving some attention to this feeling of filling and emptying. And this is an exercise that's in 4 stages. So 2 of the stages you can recognize quite easily. My weight moves into my back foot and into my front foot. For those of you who have an idea of where you want the weight to land, of course, that can be brought into this exercise. The other 2 stages are in a way hidden, but they're once again this comma in the sentence, this moment of just allowing yourself to release. So I go into my back foot, I'm releasing my hips and everything that implies. I'm not necessarily trying to bend the knee more. If it bends, well and good. If it doesn't, it's not a problem. I go into my front foot and settle. So again, we have this moment of everything just coming in to line. It would be nice to think that we never lost that line. But in practice, of course, we do pretty much every time we move. But what we're learning is that even if we do lose that sense of releasing and everything that comes out of that, we can also get it back. And remember, it's obviously a physical act, but if we practice the physical side of it, then that becomes much smoother and much quicker. And so really it comes down to intention, which takes a brief moment. We have to cultivate that. When we use terms like calm, like release, let go, relax, we tend to think of it as an absence of something. I'll get this done and then I can calm down. We don't always appreciate that it's a physiological process. We have to engage certain parts of the nervous system and so on in order to encourage that calmness. So we're cultivating those qualities and the moment when those qualities get a chance to just come to the surface. And this benefits us physically, energetically, and in our minds as well. In that moment of settling, go into your back foot, raise your front toes. You can have the front foot slightly turned out. Go forwards, settle in, push your back knee forwards. And when you do this with your toes or with your heel, you'll find that your body shifts just a little bit more. Again, I'm going to show you with this on. When I do this without raising my toes and my heel, you see how far I get? Not quite in line with the leg. If I push my back knee forwards, it's just a slight shift. And likewise when I raise my toes. So gradually, my upper body is coming more into line over one leg. Until eventually we're able to just draw the other leg, what we call the empty leg, in. And if it's your back foot, you bring it in, you push back, put the ball of the foot down, lower your heel, gently press the foot into the floor, plant the foot, and back. And then with the front foot, it's the heel goes down first, then the ball of your foot, then the planting. So just making sure that we take a moment, you really feel that connection to the ground through the empty leg, to releasing that empty leg to apply the plant, to create the space for our weight to move into. Try that with your other. filling and empty. If this is practiced enough, then what you'll find is it becomes not quite unconscious, but it's something that just happens in the background. You know, maybe standing waiting for the bus, you suddenly, oh, you feel the ground, or walking down the road. And also, of course, and you know, there's no guarantees here, but if you are walking down the road and you slip or you trip, if you've trained this, then you have an option to settle. Once again, it goes against much of our conditioning. And so once again, this really does have to be practiced in order to allow the body to know what to do, if you like. Raising your toes and your heel. So it becomes intuitive. And so in everyday walking, when we move around, then we're more likely to get that sense of connection to the ground, the root, and everything that goes with it. Contracting your legs, so the foot comes in, expanding your legs, heel, and then ball of the foot, planting. Planting really is an application of that process of soul releasing. If you're holding your legs stiff, it's going to be very difficult to get that sense of gently pressing. But the term planting is very appropriate. Imagine putting something in a pot and then just gently pressing the soil down. And then either going forwards or backwards, depending on where you have room. Take a few steps through. And then going in the other direction. Moving nothing. This needs to be practiced regularly. It says we want, in a way, we want it to be as regular as breathing. I find if for some reason, maybe if I'm on holiday or something like that, I miss a few days, or I haven't given this consideration for a few days, I've been focusing on other areas, I start to lose the smoothness of it, and I have to put some time in to get some of that. So now, have your right foot forwards, mirroring my movements, and softening your back foot, hands at your sides. Imagine doing this in the water, so move the weight forward, your hands held back for a moment, but as you settle into the front leg and swing through, going back. Once again, feeling the movement, building from the ground, through your leg up, through your back, now through your arms, slightly exercises that we did earlier. Suspicion and cast the net. I'm not trying to lift my arms. This is a common error with this one. As I go forward, my arms follow, they drop down to the full length halfway through. As I settle into the front foot here, they just swing past and they naturally swing up. What you can do is, once again, take note of what's happening in your upper body as your arms swing up, which areas are expanding, which areas are contracting. And if you want to build the movement, focusing on those areas, but bringing your intention to bear on the internal movements. Fisherman cast net. Bringing the center of the body more actively into the movement as you go back this time, just turn. Notice that now brings the hands in the same way, dropping down and swinging up a little bit, but across your body. As you go forwards, you feel the expansion in the right side of your body. As you go back and they swing up, feel it in the left side. And this time, building on that expansion, swinging your arms up, turning your hands palm up, and then down, coming back. Turning, expanding in the left side of your body, like a wave coming underneath your arms. And this is just a figure of eight movement. Imagine a sideways figure of eight or an infinity sign in front of you. And just letting your arms and your hands, or maybe your whole body, flow through that shape. Not straining in your back or your shoulders, your arms. The movement is rooted in your feet, transmitted through your legs, guided by the center of your body and expressed through these patterns of expansion and contraction in your upper body into your arms. And then bringing the feet down. Have your left foot forward. Start the same process again. Fisherman cast a net. So you're moving through water. Prepared to take that time to settle in. And as you do, with that more gathered attention, able to just be aware of what's happening within your body. So the movement begins to be built from the inside out. You start by copying a movement from the outside, of course, but then becoming more and more aware of the patterns within the body. Seeing those as the building blocks. Turn. Imagining the figure of eight, sideways figure of eight in front of you. And once again, this trinity of mind, body, and movement, mind, body, and energy working together. When we don't strain, we're more likely to keep the alignment of our body. So this time, turn the front foot out a little bit, or again, if you can do this going backwards, but as your hands come up, the empty foot comes in. We plant it and then go forwards. Once again, as the hands come up, the foot comes in, planting forwards or backwards. And then you may find that you're just able to raise your knee. Forward, settling in, feeling the alignment of your body. You raise your knee. And then going back. Remembering that significance of the rooting down, remembering that you have support from within your body, gradually building a sense of confidence. One more time. Stand with your feet parallel, and this is another way of doing this exercise. You go into your right foot, turn slightly, bring the left foot in, step out sideways, bring the right foot in, step out. And again, maybe just raising. So if you're limited in space, or you notice I'm standing in front of a wall here. It's very deliberate. Because I mentioned earlier this idea of building a sense of confidence. It's very hard to do that if you feel as though you're going to wobble around. It's very hard to apply qualities of song, releasing, if you think it's going to make you fall over. And the thing with this is, with the wall behind me, if I feel a bit wobbly, I can just sit back against the wall. So you have some kind of support in building that confidence. And then just bringing your feet back. So these moments of settling in are hugely significant. They're almost, we could say, the things that enable everything else. They're also, for the sake of our well-being, one of the most important takeaways in this art. The final exercise really emphasizes this. And one suggestion I sometimes make to people is find what it is for you that brings you back. It's not what I say, it's what works for you. What would be most useful to you in those moments of frustration at the bus stop, or listening to the radio, or whenever they occur, whenever we feel a sense of contraction, what would be most helpful for you to recall, just to give yourself that little bit of space in mind and body. The exercise is called Embrace Tiger, Return to the Mountain. And the mountain might be a useful image to you. It is to me. It encapsulates many of the qualities that I've been talking about. So just sinking down, pushing up, let your hands be pushed out again. This time bring them around as though you're going to hold a ball against your chest. Drawing in, feel the pull of gravity on your hips, just releasing there and allowing it to pull you. So gravity may help you just to come back in to that feeling of being centered and rooted in mind, body, and energy. Or maybe the image of the mountain, or some other physical sensation. And maybe just identifying one or two little things that are be useful to you, easy for you to recall. One more time. And thank you very much, whether you're live or on YouTube. Do remember, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. But enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.